Yes, everyone, we're into April, but fear not, it may be April Fool's Day, but you're getting absolutely no jokes here. Serious football content is what we're doing on the channel today. It is April Fool's Day. To be honest, it feels more like Christmas Day for me today. All my Christmases have come at once because that man, Mr. Edward Howe, apparently wants a Celtic job. That's what the Scottish Sun say. They say he is the leading contender for the Celtic job and that he's seriously interested in succeeding Neil Lennon. Their big exclusive is that he's now doing his own due diligence. Now, just in case you're watching this and you're 6 years old, due diligence is in fact the detailed examination of a company and its financial records done before becoming involved in a business arrangement with it. The report actually goes on to detail exactly what Howe wants to find at Celtic if he comes into the club. It says that he wants guarantees that he'd be able to implement the changes he felt were required to challenge Rangers next season, as well as a sizable transfer kitty to revamp the squad. Now, the club spent around about £15 million all in last summer. Given that some big players are set to leave the club this coming summer and the fact we're going to need to sign probably 10, 12 players, it's probably fair to assume that we could spend at least 20 million, maybe even closer to 30 million this summer all in. Will that satisfy Howe? What about the other bit, wanting to be able to challenge Rangers? A look at the league table would probably suggest that we're a good bit off doing that. What are we, 20 odd points behind? But as much as the league table doesn't really tend to lie, and we have been that far behind Rangers this season, I don't think we are quite as far away as that suggests of mounting some sort of a title bid next season. Couple of reasons I say that. The first one is that I don't think we'll be as bad next season. I think we just have to be more consistent. We have to stop dropping the daft points we've dropped to virtually every team in the league apart from Hamilton and Motherwell this season. Defeats to Ross County, St Mirren at home, 2 games against Hibs. All those kind of results need to be turned into wins next season. But also Rangers, I'd be very surprised if Rangers were as consistent next season. What have they? They've only dropped, I think, 10 points all season. You saw how much our own Invincibles struggled in 2017-2018 after having such a stellar campaign the previous season. I would be surprised if Rangers were able to replicate their form this season, next season. So already the gap is shrinking if we can notch a few more wins. And if we've got a manager like Eddie Howe in, I'd certainly be confident of our chances of mounting a real title bid. I really hope that whoever he's consulting with, whether it's Brendan Rodgers or someone else in the English game or up here that's had links to Celtic, I hope that they're all aware that the club is about to go through its largest restructuring in the best part of 3 decades. Peter Lawwell's going to be leaving. Dominic Mackay's going to be coming in. We're going to have almost certainly a new sporting director or director of football coming in as well. Nick Hammond's obviously left the club. So I hope they're aware of this. I feel like rather than simply how much money am I going to get to spend, I think Howe will be interested in how Celtic work and also how Scottish football as a whole works. He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who'll turn his nose up at the Scottish game. Yes, he may have managed at some of the biggest grounds in England for the last 5 or 6 seasons before he left Bournemouth, but you've got to remember that he has plenty of experience of managing at the lowest levels in English League football with Bournemouth at the start of his time at the club. So he'll be well aware of the smaller stadia as well as the larger stadia, and I think that's great for the Celtic manager that he has experience of different kind of settings and performing well in different kind of settings. If he does decide to come to the club, he'd certainly need an assistant manager who had some sort of awareness and knowledge of the Scottish game. There's been chat, just murmurings about a couple of people who could provide that. Marvin Bartley has been mentioned. I believe he played under Howe in the past. Peter Grant has also been mentioned. I believe he and Howe played together, I think at Bournemouth a wee while ago. I've got questions whether either of those players would leave their current jobs, which are quite decent jobs, to come to Celtic. You look at Peter Grant, currently the manager of Alloa Athletic, is leaving Alloa as manager to become a number 2 at Celtic going to be suitable for him, given that he's already held that role at Celtic? Will Marvin Bartley want to hang up his boots so early to come to Celtic to be just a coach? Because I don't think there's much chance of Marvin Bartley being a player at Celtic. He's obviously currently playing for Livingston. I think he's Livingston captain as well and has done quite well. Another name that will obviously be floated around if Howe does decide to come to Celtic is Jason Tindall. He's the guy who's been his long-term assistant all those years at Bournemouth. Tindall stayed on at Bournemouth when Howe left. He became their manager. It didn't work out for him. He was sacked about 6 weeks ago, I think. He's since gone in to be a first-team coach at Premier League bottom club Sheffield United, although I believe that's only until the end of the season, so he could be available again in the summer. That seems like the dream team for me. Tindall, Howe, and some sort of Scottish football knowledge, whether it be Bartley, Grant or someone else. So this is a kind of video that people probably look back on in God knows how long, when we've got John Kennedy or Roy Keane or someone else as our manager, and they laugh at me. So if you're doing that in the future, thanks for the view anyway, have a good chuckle. I've got the same feeling that I did when Brendan Rodgers was linked with the club, that kind of hard to articulate butterflies in the stomach type feeling, that knowledge, that real hope that if we were to get in Eddie Howe, it could be genuinely transformational for the future of this football club. Howe's always kind of been my number one choice, but the reason I've kind of left that avenue over the last month or so is because I kind of felt that it was out with our reach. I felt like Howe would be destined for a Newcastle or another Premier League club. I wasn't quite as sure that we'd be able to attract someone like that, even though we did it in the past with Rodgers. But things, without getting ahead of myself, do seem to be going in the right direction. The Scottish Sun are the best source for Scottish football exclusives anywhere at the moment. They've got things bang on, and if they're reporting that, there'll be something to it. We've heard loads of murmurings from elsewhere as well. I just really hope that Eddie Howe wants the job as is being suggested. I hope we can get this one over the line, because it could be a huge appointment for Celtic if we do it.